And good morning again. Well, Congress was at work until early this morning, but instead of averting a shutdown that will begin Monday at midnight, the House voted to postpone the implementation of Obamacare for a year before they will agree to fund the government. That now goes back to the Senate for further action, but leaders say it is dead on arrival. Nothing is likely to happen today because Congress has headed home for the weekend and won't be back in session until tomorrow. So we're going to start this morning with Kentucky Republican and key Tea Party leader Rand Paul. He is in Bowling Green this morning. Senator, thank you so much. Let me just ask you flat out, are you willing to take the blame if the government shuts down?
You know, I've said all along it's not a good idea to shut down government. I've been saying that for months. But I also think that it's not a good idea to give the president 100% of what he wants on Obamacare without compromise. We've been offering him compromises. Many on his side say there are problems. The Teamsters said there are problems. Warren Buffett says there are problems. Even former President Bill Clinton says there are problems with Obamacare. Why won't the president negotiate and come to a compromise on trying to make Obamacare less bad?
Well, Senator, I kind of take your point, and I think a lot of people agree there are things to be done about this law that could make it better. But how can you hold the entire federal government hostage just because you want to postpone his signature achievement? He's not going to do that. The Senate is not going to do that. You know that, and you know even if they did, that the president would veto it. I mean, isn't this just an exercise to accomplish nothing?
Well, I guess, Bob, what I don't know is, see, he already, by executive fiat, has delayed the employer mandate, which is a key component of this. We think that is going outside the Constitution and that the president's not allowed to write legislation. So all we're asking is, if he thinks it's so messed up that he's going to delay a big part of Obamacare on his own, and it looks like maybe he's going to do some special favors for the unions, why don't we actually bring it to Congress and try to figure out how to meet somewhere in the middle? But see, he's saying 100% of Obamacare or the highway. The president's the one saying, I will shut down government if you don't give me everything I want on Obamacare. That, to me, is the president being intransigent and being unwilling to compromise.
But the law has already been passed, Senator. Let me just ask you this question. You know, I'm old enough to remember when Barry Goldwater ran for president in 1964, and he said, I'd rather be right than president. And, you know, he got his wish. He lost in a landslide. Aren't you and the other Tea Party leaders leading the Republican Party to the same fate?
Well, see, the thing is that once things are passed doesn't mean they're set in stone and no future Congress will look at them. For example, when Reagan came in, the rates had been 70% on the top bracket for 40 years, but he didn't say, oh, that's the law, so we can't readdress it. Obamacare was passed, but the public has a great deal of misgivings. I have a lot of misgivings. I'm worried that there won't be many choices left, that you're going to destroy the individual market. If I want to go out and buy a high-deductible plan, Obamacare is making that illegal. So I think there's really a problem with limiting people's choices, and we should continue to have this debate. But it's the president who's refusing to come to the negotiating table. We've now offered a new compromise. Our new compromise is not getting rid of his signature achievement, but delaying it to make sure that it doesn't totally destroy the insurance market in our country.
Let me just ask you this, is there a way out of this? Democrats are not going to go along with postponing health care. You don't have the votes to override a veto. Is there a third way? Is there some way to prevent the government from having to shut down and putting 800,000 federal workers on furlough? These are people, many of whom work by the hour. They need the money. This is really going to hurt them. Is there a way to prevent that from happening?
I think there is a way, and I've been saying all along that we should negotiate. See, historically, Bob, the way it worked is if the House was Republican and passed something and the Senate was Democrat and passed something, you had a conference committee, equal number of Republicans and Democrats, and you hashed out your differences. Why don't we have a conference committee on this? You could appoint one today. They could meet tomorrow and hash out the differences. That's the way it's supposed to work. Republicans and Democrats are supposed to find a middle ground, but right now it's the president saying my way or the highway. If I don't get everything I want, if I don't get Obamacare that Democrats passed without any Republican support, the Democrats are saying they're willing to shut down the government.
But you know, Senator, with all due respect, it's a little more complicated than that, because